Hello, and welcome back to an Abundance of Thrones for this week of Episode 5, Season 5, Episode 5, Kill the Boy. I am Brad, and I am joined by my good friends, Wade and Garrett. Hi, guys.
Good day.
Hello.
How you doing?
I am well. Happy belated Mother's Day to the realm.
Absolutely. Well, the mothers of the realm, anyway.
The mothers
I don't
of the
think
realm. The rest of the realm doesn't really give a
The
shit.
dragons brought Danny their goat.
That's right.
And with that, we have already broached into it, so I'm going to give the disclaimer slightly late. This is an explicit podcast. There will be language and otherwise adult content. If that bothers you, please turn off and go watch something from Disney.
If that bothers you, why the fuck do you watch Game of Thrones?
Second disclaimer, this is a spoiler cast. We will be discussing Episode 5, Kill the Boy. If you have not seen it, please stop the podcast, go watch it, and then resume listening.
Get the fuck off.
You can fuck off. Don't fuck off.
You have been warned. Okay.
Or maybe you feel that our content is all-inclusive and is all you ever really need, which is case you're sick. But we still applaud you for that.
Listening to us better than watching the show.
And shop at Amazon.
Good call out. So, let's do a quick run through. I'll turn it over to you for a run through of the numbers. Do you have the numbers this week, Mr.
I
Barrett?
have the numbers this week, or rather, I did. So
Technical glitch.
This is me not being prepared.
So while you're pulling up the numbers, I'm just going to very quickly run through the opening sequence.
Do that.
We get a nice flyover this week of King's Landing, Winterfell, The Wall, Bravos, Meereen, and Dorne. Interesting they kept Dorne in there, even though we don't visit... Well, we didn't visit Bravos either.
Oh, this is true.
Or King's Landing.
I was thinking,
So there was a lot of extra shots in the opening that we didn't need. What was that, Wade?
like we'd see most of these places. Oh, sorry. Long day.
Long day? Am I keeping you up?
You might be.
It may be a possibility considering my work schedule.
So of the cities shown in the flyover, we visited half of them.
Awesome.
Winterfell
Way to go, Game of
and
Thrones.
The Wall in Marine.
Winterfell, The Wall, and Meereen.
Awesome.
On to the numbers.
On to the numbers. Okay, so the business end of Game of Thrones. This week, his Game of Thrones debut as director, Jeremy Podeswa. 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 This episode was also written by Brian Cogman. And once more, we see a drop in viewership down to 6.56 million. However, I do feel that this is the last of the leaked episodes, so next week should tell a different story.
It'll be interesting, because I thought last week was the last leaked one.
I heard conflicting reports.
I know they had confirmed 4, and there were rumors of 5.
I heard they left it off with a massive cliffhanger, and I thought, the night...
Jorah?
Yeah.
Not much of a cliffhanger?
No, it was the cliffhanger. It was like, these two, do they survive?
So,
Dun, dun, dun.
interesting fun fact here. Last week's episode was less viewership than Season 4, Episode 4, just barely. And this week, a substantial drop from Season 4, Episode 5 to Season 5, Episode 5.
So lower viewership season over season.
In this case, with the caveat of the leaked episodes.
Well, and I know we've redone this almost every episode, so I guess this is just going to become part of the boilerplate. Disclaimer that this is only the broadcast numbers for the first 24 hours, so this is not counting the number of people, like me, that watch it on HBO Now later.
And the other, kind of flip side of the coin there, I think, that for those that have had the ability, or maybe with the release of HBO Now, that people like yourself have the ability to watch it at their leisure. They don't, we're no longer bound to Sunday night at 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock for the episode. Whereas,
Absolutely, the pressure's off.
yeah, but for us, that's what we look forward to. It sucks it's on a Sunday, but 6 o'clock, the TV's on, the volume's up, dinner is ready, wine is poured. It's Game of Thrones time.
Sure.
So I think with the leaked episodes as well, also probably play a factor that people haven't developed their Sunday night routines, so to speak. And we may be seeing a issue with that as well. So anyway, speculation over.
Get back in the groove, people.
The downside is we are now, brace yourselves, halfway through the season.
Oh.
So if you haven't got your Sunday routines down by now, you might want to get your ass in gear.
That's right. Stop fucking around.
Actually,
Game of Thrones.
Technically, right. No. You want to get your ass on the couch.
So we open up in Meereen this week with the aftermath of last week's cliffhanger with Sir Barristan Selmy and Grey Worm beaten up quite viciously in the back alleys by the Sons of the Harpy.
Yes, yep.
So we open up in what I can only assume is some kind of medical hospital bay bed. Grey Worm is still completely out cold. Meanwhile, Sir Barristan is no longer of this world.
So when we got ready for Sunday night, I had missed the scene showing Grey Worm. So I came in and they were talking about Barristan and the actions that Dany is going to take. We'll briefly touch on. So I wasn't sure the state of Grey Worm at the time until we revisit Meereen, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, the revisit to Meereen, the Meereen scene B, doesn't come until almost the very end of the show. So if you missed that, that leaves you hanging for about 40 minutes. Yes,
I was very excited when, since I didn't know in the first 10 seconds and had to wait 40 minutes, I yelled. It was a wine-induced yell, but I yelled.
Okay, but that, should serve you right. I mean, don't miss the first 10 seconds ever again. I mean, come on.
Sorry, never again.
Jeez.
Sorry, Master.
Yes. So
pour the wine.
While we're in Meereen, we get to visit Dany's kids again.
We do.
She rounds up the heads of the great houses and takes them on a field trip.
We're going to go take a walk.
Yeah, we're going to go visit some friends of mine.
At Spear Point.
How did you, what kind of emotions did you feel watching this scene unfold?
Awe of just, once again, how brilliant the dragons are in this show.
Aren't they awesome?
I loved Dragonheart as a kid. That was a cool dragon until I saw it on HD TV, and then it wasn't so cool. Damn you, resolutions. But these are just brilliant. If you were to try to take any sort of legitimate I want to say animatronic.
No.
Anatomy, accurate anatomy
sure.
of any flying creature, these dragons hit it spot on. They've only got the bat-style wings versus the dual shoulder blades of dragons of myth and that sort of thing. But yeah, no, I love this scene. I love the framework that Dany is in at this time. I love the actions that she's taking. Finally taking Dario's advice to heart. And she is the mother dragons and will use the dragons when need be.
Sure. On your special effects call out, though, I do want to fast forward just a moment to the very last scene of Valeria A, where
Drogon flies overhead.
Jorah and Tyrion get their view of Drogon overhead. That was just awesome.
Yeah, the sound of the wings flap was perfect. The The look on Tyrion's face was great. I mean, Jorah, not that his expression wasn't equally, impressive actor-wise, but from a character, that has some familiarity with the dragons. Yeah, it's shocking maybe to him how big Drogon is, but Tyrion, this is the first time he's seen a dragon. Sure, he loves about him, he reads about him, but there's one in the flesh.
That's gotta
Holy
be scary.
shit.
But we will get back to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So our next visit is we go to the wall, and we actually spend quite a bit of time at the wall A.
Yes, we do.
Do we have a wall B? We do have a wall B. Okay, but the wall A, this is a fairly lengthy series of scenes.
So let me pause you real quick. For the listeners, when we reference the wall A and the wall B, we are touching base on the chronological order of which the locations of the show appear. So when we're talking about the wall A, this is obviously the first time we've seen the wall. When we reference wall B, that is the second visit during later on in the show.
And don't forget, this is a tool of storytelling. Typically, we visit or whatever locations we visit in a episode, we tend to visit twice at least. First time to set up the story, which is usually left hanging slightly, and then the storylines get resolved in the second visit.
Correct.
Plot
Yes.
device.
So learn something.
Yes.
Thanks for joining.
Wall A, we open up with Sam and Maester Aemon having a little chit-chat. They had just received word about Dany.
So who sends this word? Where do you think this is coming from? Who's feeding news of Daenerys to Westeros and therefore the wall?
Westeros Today?
Today in Westeros.
The Daily Raven.
Because clearly Daenerys... Say that again?
Daily Raven. I like that.
Daily Raven? Nice.
2 points.
That could be our new podcast name.
2 points.
From the discussions, it's fairly clear that Daenerys has no knowledge of Aemon at the wall, so she's not sending it. The message is read by Sam in the third person, so she's not writing it.
Wow, that's a good question.
How does the wall know about what's going on over there?
Well, my first thought was Varys' spiders, but why would they report to the wall?
And he has no idea what's going on in Marine, so to speak. I mean, he may have a hint, but is not enough to send out letters to everybody.
Well, and the last thing we knew, he was stuck in a box. Well, not in the box anymore, but
Volantis.
No longer with a traveling companion in Volantis.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Now,
that's a good observation there.
A sweeping theory among the community is that the messages, once received, are originally received by the Citadel, who then send out word to the Maesters of what may or may not be going on. But the Citadel still has to get the information from somebody.
I was going to say, I can accept that as kind of like a daily or a weekly briefing of here's the important news throughout the world. I can totally buy that. But the initial news has to come from somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway.
Plot hole.
Reporting east of Westeros.
Meanwhile, in the eastern districts. John walks in on the little discussion. And asks Sam to excuse them, and has a little talk with Aemon about having an unpopular decision to make that is most likely going to divide the Night's Watch.
Yep, John's a little conflicted. I mean, he knows he's not the fan favorite amongst all the men, and he knows more still that the decision he is compelled to make will only drive a deeper wedge.
But without even hearing the plan through, Aemon tells him, do it.
Yeah.
You have been entrusted with this position. It is your command. You have to make those hard calls.
Even though if the men don't like it, you're still Lord Commander. They voted for you.
It's time to do the hard count.
Yep. Kill the boy so the man can be born.
Absolutely. We move over a couple rooms to the Lord Commander's office, essentially, his solar, his chambers, where he's meeting with Tormund Giantsbane.
Clearly one of John's more loyal supporters.
Yes, absolutely. They're great friends. Go back a long way.
Yeah, like
At
half a
least
season.
before the death of...
We don't talk about Ygritte.
Sorry,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, how dare you.
Well, the North remembers. So, John is trying to hatch this plan to not only save the free folk, but kind of bolster the ranks of the, maybe not exactly the Night's Watch, but maybe Night's Watch Auxiliary.
It's the Day Watch.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like Davos's talk with him maybe hit a nerve a little bit about being the shield that guards the realm of man.
Yes, all of them.
All men, regardless of what side of the wall they're born.
Yes. It definitely seems to have resonated with them, and now he's talking about relocating the free folk into the area known as the Gift.
And for those who are unfamiliar with the Gift was a large, I'll say plot. Plot doesn't really sum it up, but a large area of land.
How about swath?
Sure, we'll go with that, Mr. Thesaurus.
Can you spell that for us?
Jesus. The Gift was a large area of land that was presented to the wall by the Mad King, I think.
I thought it went back further than that.
Well, I don't know if it did because it might have. The wall's been up for thousands of years. Either way, it was a area of land that was designated as farmland to grow crops, food, and whatnot to support and supply the wall.
Yes. So
now it's been uninhabited because the wildlings that do come over the wall kill and raid everybody who are there. John now wants to repurpose it and man it with those same wildlings, or in his words, the free folk.
The free folk. So geographically, it doesn't quite reach quite as far south as Winterfell, but for rough purposes, think of it as the area between the wall and Winterfell.
Yeah, it's a large area of land.
It's huge. It is huge.
So that's the Gift for just to fill in the holes.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tormund seems cautiously optimistic, shall we say.
I think Tormund's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, he knows the free folk wildlings better than anybody. They followed Mance for a specific purpose. Mance is no more. If he shows up and says, hey, you know, guys, we gotta fight with the crows, they will disembowel him. So the only way to... And make him eat it. The only way to get everyone's trust or show that it's not a trap is to have the one who giving the orders to carry out the sentence, so to speak.
That's an interesting analogy.
And it didn't necessarily truly fit, but I felt it kind of worked because of the heritage.
Yeah, so they're looking for assurances that once they get on the boats, that they're not just going to be torched at sea.
Yes.
Which is interesting that Stannis commits, 10 ships. Is that really going to be enough for the tens of thousands of free folk? There's going to be several trips, I feel.
Yeah,
they
it's
can make
plausible.
2 trips.
maybe 2, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we switch. Sorry, go ahead.
What's going to happen is they're going to drop them off just like off the side of Winterfell. It's like, guess what? You want the land? Well, now you're going to have to go back through Winterfell.
There you go.
It's going to be a two-pronged attack because you just have to go back through Winterfell to get to it.
Yeah,
it's actually a really good, it's a really good thought there, Wade. John said he wouldn't help out Stannis because he's got other priorities, but it doesn't mean he can't drop the wildlings south of Winterfell and have them march north.
While we're at it, just go ahead and take care of the Boltons for us.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no real John doesn't know what Sansa is there, though.
That's correct.
And
So-
there's no real incentive for the free folk. I mean, pardon me, for the free folk to settle the gift. They're getting something out of it.
Yeah,
To retake Winterfell, there's nothing in it for them.
exactly.
So, all right, switching gears, we end up in the meeting hall.
Yes. And for our listeners, HBO has announced a new TV show, Grammar Lessons with Stannis, premiering next spring. Not for children, I will
Yes.
mind you.
I would think not. I thought that was a completely unnecessary and useless line and segue, but I thought that was just a nice
Hilarious. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then Davos like, what? And Stannis, nothing.
Nothing.
Shouldn't it be like with guest starring Davos? Because he like just learned how to read like last season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Davos can give his signature what?
What?
This is where the period goes.
What?
So yes, they as Stannis corrects, they will not end up with less enemies. They will end up with fewer enemies. As predicted, though, the brothers are not thrilled with Jon's plan.
Was anybody aside from Sam even remotely on Jon's side for this? I mean, his counsel, so to speak, with him were arguing. All the Night's Watch were bickering about it. No one stood up and said, I'm with you, period. There was, I'm with you, but not in this.
Yeah, no, there was the one, I don't know I didn't catch his name, who gave a qualified assent. I will follow you anywhere, no matter what. But you better keep in mind that these are the people that killed our friends.
Yes, and I cannot forget or forgive that.
Right. I'll follow you, but I'm not thrilled.
Yeah.
And so, hand in hand with this, we get to see Ollie, who is now Jon's steward, coming in with dinner for the Lord Commander, and he's not happy.
Yep, Ollie was hoping that it was just a ploy to lure the wildlings, only for the Night's Watch to slaughter them.
Obviously, he is showing his years a little bit here. I can understand, having watched his family be slaughtered, that there was some hope of fruition. But I'm not sure that 50 crows stood much of a chance against 50,000 wildlings. But, hope springs eternal. On to Winterfell. Another really lengthy series of scenes
Yes.
here. We start off in what I'm assuming is an inn outside the walls with Brienne and Podrick. Kind of setting up location, I feel. There's not a whole lot of development here. She makes contact with a local, but there's not much here, except I feel that this is setting up for later.
I hope so. I mean, it better. Now, one thing that I caught, it better. Damn it. Don't give us stupid-ass scenes for no reason.
Fuckers.
Now, I caught something that I was a little bummed out about. Now, maybe it's just me or whatever. But when Pod is walking through the wall, the entryway, you see Winterfell in the background. Mm-hmm. When you're with Brienne looking out the window, it's the exact same image. And I guess it's supposed to be the same exact view, whatever, where she's at, but it just seemed like maybe a lazy copy-paste job on the green screen.
I don't know. I mean, if you're entering from the same side of the city that her window is facing, you would end up with pretty much the same
Yeah,
view.
it was identical. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being picky, but I didn't catch it the first time.
I think it's just you
I
being
probably
picky.
is. I'm a cheap bastard.
I know.
But the second time I caught it, and I thought, that's interesting a little bit.
I'm going to have to review
Okay.
that now.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. So we end up in the castle, in Ramsay's room. And little steamy action
Both emotionally
between
and
Ramsay
physically.
and Miranda.
both
that?
emotionally and physically.
Yeah, Miranda's not thrilled with Ramsey's new fiance.
A little jealous.
A little bit. She thought she was going to be Mrs. Ramsey Snow.
But
But Ramsey is no longer a Snow, and that means the kennel master's daughter is not
suitable.
a suitable partner for
The now Bolton.
the future Lord
Yes.
Bolton.
Now, I liked what he said in a clip here, though. He said, I'm a Bolton now, and my wants have a little importance,
not the primary
essentially.
concern.
Yeah. Or not the primary concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what I want.
I don't get to pick
Yeah,
my fate
exactly.
anymore.
I have a dynasty to uphold and prolong.
Yep. Although apparently he gets a piece
Of course
at the
he
end
does.
of this. Don't bore him. Remember what happens to people that bore
That's right.
Ramsey.
So just bite his lip off. It's not boring.
Right. Yes. You don't want to end up
This
like
is Ramsey we're talking about. He gets off on that.
Clearly.
Yeah. The kid that decided it would be fun to bring back live flaying.
You think that's on him? I mean, that seems like a Bolton thing, though. I just think he enjoys it more.
So my theory on this, it is definitely a historic Bolton thing. And I don't think it... My personal feeling on this, when he first does it, Roose seems very surprised. Like, you've laid them alive. Well, it is our way.
Yeah, maybe you have a point.
It is the Bolton way. It seems to me like this is something that hasn't been done for a while. That was just the feeling that I got.
That's fair.
That it caught Roose off guard that Ramsey would take this path. So, no, Ramsey definitely seems like the heartless bastard that he is.
Yes.
Just calling it like I
And
said.
then we transition to Sansa's room. She has a visitor.
Sansa's room, yes. Nice little visit from an elderly lady from the castle.
Now, do we think
Very short
think her visit is a direct coincidence with Brienne's wanting to send a message to Sansa, or is it coincidental? I mean,
I think they're possibly related.
it was vague enough to go either way. The
Yes.
timing would say that it's plausible. However,
I think it's at least plausible.
however, we know that Sansa has more allies than just Brienne.
And I dare say better ones.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
Given Brienne's track
Record of success.
Yeah, or lack of. So we follow Sansa out when she wants to check out this location. She's supposed to keep the candle should she need help. And who shows up?
Miranda.
Miranda. Checking out the competition.
That's right. Now, I didn't catch this the first time, but when I watched it the second time, to me, Miranda looks younger than Sansa.
Sure.
I mean, she's shorter, although that's not hard to do. Sansa's pretty tall.
So where's the angle on being young?
Well, comes from a legality of a filming situation, because Sophie Turner, Sansa, I think is only 17 or maybe just turned 18. This other girl looks younger, yet she appeared essentially fully nude. And then just trying to set up...
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say she's at least 18.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
Or has some pretty consentful parents in the UK.
Even then.
And then if she is younger, I guess I'm just trying to maybe set up between Ramsey and that situation too.
Sure.
16, 17, whatever. Pretty young to be sleeping around with. But if you're the daughter of a kennel master, you're no stranger to what goes on and when the lights are out.
Well, no, and what choice does she have, really?
If she can be getting in bed with, a future lord?
Well, he was a bastard up until that point. He was a nobody, essentially. No claim, no titles, no nothing.
Right, but I mean, it's the son of the Lord and the future Lord. I mean, when he says jump, you ask how high.
Ask how many times.
Exactly.
While on the pelvis.
Maybe she just likes it rough.
Okay.
I don't know.
So yeah, we get some small talk with Miranda and Sansa, and Miranda has something Sansa needs to see. What was your first thought when she said this?
Direwolf.
Me too. I thought,
Don't you wish?
oh, someone caught Nymeria, who was Arya's wolf from season 1, and they had it in the back. I thought, oh, sweet, we're going to see Nymeria again. No, it's just Reek.
So disappointing.
And that's another thing.
Really? No, seriously. So disappointing.
Yeah. Interesting though.
What was the point here, though? What was the angle? And was Miranda operating on her own? Or was this a behind-the-scenes play by Ramsay?
I think Miranda was operating on her own, even though Ramsay definitely got word of it.
Sure.
I think this was a ploy from Miranda to try to maybe point out how much of a bastard Ramsay is to push Sansa away
Trying
and
to scare her a little bit.
keep Ramsay for herself.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way.
That's what I thought out of it.
I like it.
Wade, did you have any conflicting theories?
No, and it's easily the way that she meant this to scare her, saying, look what he does, and even this is probably the closest to family that you still technically have left as far as they know. And this is what he does. Be frightened.
Yeah.
You're
Be
marrying this crazy son of a bitch. We don't know who his mother is. I mean, no, she was a peasant girl. Never mind.
Who married without
Yes.
consent, and yes. That comes later.
And, yeah, her husband was hanged, and she was taken under his hanging body.
Kicking and screaming the entire time.
You know, we can see where Ramsay gets.
Gets his romantic abilities.
Oh, boy.
Woohoo.
So we shift gears to, we're going to the dining hall, where Ramsay calls Walda mother. I thought that was
This isn't the first time.
rather interesting. No, I suppose not, but I still think it's interesting. They toast to the wedding, and Ramsay makes Walda makes some off-the-cuff comment about how strange it must be to be here.
Yeah, that just shows how poorly the
stupidity.
frayed jeans are, maybe.
Yeah,
Not the brightest plump girl in the room.
how frayed the frayed
Mind
jeans
is, yes.
are. Yeah, so obviously she is unaware of where she actually is. And I'm proud of Sansa. She's definitely grown. We see in the courtyard with Miranda, she is very cold. She is very skeptical. Honestly, I was surprised she went into the kennel at all.
Yeah.
Why would you trust this person? And also in the dining hall, she gets in a couple barbs here. No, this is my home. It's the people that are strange.
That, and when Ramsay was toasting to the wedding, she didn't say anything and didn't drink to the toast.
And didn't drink. Yeah, absolutely. So
We definitely see her growth
definitely,
from season 1 to now.
She did take what
yeah.
Baelish said to heart a couple episodes ago. Stop being
okay.
the observer, start playing the game.
Yep.
Yep. You play the Game of Thrones or you die. Compliments of Cersei.
That's
there.
right. Season 1.
Season 1.
Deep
Cersei,
callback.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
yeah, we get...
Bruce has a little bit of good news.
well, you're skipping ahead a little bit. Or did we? Reek being forced to apologize, And then Ramsay has the brilliant idea that since Reek is the closest thing to family, that Reek should give Sansa away at the wedding.
You know, we're still seeing again and again that cruel, cold-hearted fucker. I mean, really.
So here's a question. Now, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, and I realize we're getting a little into this, but is Ramsay doing this because he's just a cruel piece of shit? Or is he just so naive to everything that he truly thinks this is a good idea?
No, he's tormenting Reek. He's still toying.
Yeah, but I think he's
This is cold and calculated.
I think it's cold on the Reek front, but I think it's naive on the Sansa front.
With Sansa?
Yes.
Maybe. I could concede that.
Okay. Over to Roose and his good news.
Yeah, congratulations. Walda is pregnant.
Much to Ramsay's dismay.
Especially when it's, whatever magic they thought they had at the time, that the Maester is fairly sure it's a boy.
Which threatens Ramsay's place.
You know, that kind of put a damper on his mood, and I loved how quietly smug Sansa became.
Well, she said congratulations.
Just a very slight upturn in her mouth. Like, yeah. You're gonna get yours. I liked it. I thought that was very, very well played.
Very diplomatic of her.
Yes.
Calculating, methodic.
And then
Playing
we
the game.
visit Roose's Solar for a brief moment where Ramsay proceeds to insult his mother.
Well, I mean, we knew Roose only married her because he was promised her weight in silver and made him very
I
rich.
thought it was gold.
Absolutely.
That was silver.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah. So he picked the fattest wife there was.
Yep.
More silver. And he tries to insult, but Roose is not having it. And
How did you manage to do it?
yeah.
I'm
How did you find? I imagine that you're
With the
familiar with the
procedure,
procedure.
Yeah.
But how
Yes.
did you find it? Jeez.
Just seriously, the dude is just a fucker. Anyway,
Fucker. Dirty little fucker.
yeah, nasty. Anyway,
So Stannis, Roose calls out that Stannis is to march on Winterfell, and it's going to take the two of them to have any sort of snowball's chance in hell of defending.
you think he's worried?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Just a
little
tiny bit.
I wonder what happens next. All right, back to the wall.
Wall
the wall
B.
B. We visit the library again, and Sam still doesn't get it with Gilly.
He's trying. He tried a little bit this time.
He did try a little bit, but she's looking for some patience from him, and he is on a mission and doesn't have time for patience.
Yeah. Talk about naive, and then there's Sam.
His picture is in the dictionary next to naive.
Twice.
Stannis comes to visit
He does.
and
Gilly bolts off.
offers a little bit of respect for Sam's father.
Yeah, we get a very pleasant interaction for a situation you would think would be anything but. And a little bit of history, too.
Yeah, I think it again plays to Stannis' character, though. He respects respectableness.
Yeah.
The fact that you could fairly defeat his brother, hey, I don't like you. Obviously, he's pulling for his brother, but I can respect that, hey, good job. You're a, obviously a capable soldier.
Your father.
Yeah, he's... Go ahead.
Your father beat my brother.
Yes.
As he said,
Well,
Sam
yes.
does not look like a soldier. Hint.
And how the hell did you beat a White Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but like we saw with Stannis before with Jon, Stannis doesn't give people respect for those that just blindly follow him and do what he says. We've seen it with Davos. Davos has gone against him, and now he's the hand. John more or less went against him, saying that, he now has, as much as he liked the offer, he has a responsibility to uphold, and we saw a fairly respectful interaction as a result in this situation with Sam. Stannis gets a few punches in, but at the same time realizes that Sam is not a soldier. Sam is not going to be in the front lines. His best place is with his nose in a book, learning as much as he can. He gives him a little bit of accolades on killing the White Walker. How did he do it? Do we know why it worked? And let's keep learning and figure it out.
I think this is very smart of Stannis to play both sides of it here. Not just the physical battle, but understanding that information is power.
We know he's the strategist. He's been called a few times about one of the best, military generals that Westeros has. And those generals are not those of brute strength and numbers, but tacticians.
Yeah, and we definitely see it here with his call for Sam to continue to study. I thought that was very smart.
Keep reading. We'll need your knowledge.
Yes.
And then Stannis and Davos.
Stannis and Davos. So we switch over to Stannis's temporary room, and after his failed attempt to get Jon to be Lord of Winterfell, and just kind of a few setbacks here as far as Stannis's plans are concerned, he decided overstayed his welcome, and it's time to move on. Sir Davos is gently trying to persuade him here, I feel, that the queen and the princess should stay behind. Not so much asking as almost definitely volunteering. Okay, let me start preparing a queen's and princess guard. To which Stannis tells him, nope, they're coming.
Yeah.
Well, remember, this goes back to the first time when they left, what was the lady's name?
Melisandre?
Lady Melisandre, thank you. God, I'm losing my brain today.
Way too many names.
Yeah, basically said to have her hold back, and I think, he lost that match? That battle?
That was the Battle of
So now,
Blackwater.
you have him basically like, I'm not listening to you. I'm taking everyone who I see fit to go.
I'm taking everyone. I don't know who I might need.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's so much that, but the Wall is the furthest north he intends to ever be again in his life. And if he's marching south towards King Landing, it doesn't make sense for him to leave his wife and daughter up north if he's going to continue south. He's not going to go back north and fetch him. In his mind, he's that confident. There's no point. Plus, he points out the nature of the Night's Watch.
I was going to say, these are not, let's face it, these are not exactly the most savory characters to leave your wife and young daughter in the company of.
Yes. Now, I don't know if I stumbled on a plot hole here or what, but Davos is asking Stannis to wait until Jon returns. Now, I sort of took that as Jon had left with Tormund Giantsbane to get the White Walkers, but then we see Jon back at the Wall.
Get the Wildlings.
the
Free folk.
Two guys getting the
We don't
Wildlings?
want
Are
the
you
White
nuts?
Did I say White Walkers?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
Yeah, you did.
Wildlings. My apologies. To get the Free folk, and then we see Jon back at the Wall. So is that what Davos was talking about? Did Jon leave with Tormund, or was it... I didn't really get it, because we didn't see any follow-up with Jon and Tormund and the Wildlings.
I did notice that too, and I don't think he's left yet. The timing doesn't play out that he's gone. A major flotilla has moved up into the land of always winter, and we've moved the entire free folk down. No, it doesn't play out.
Because Jon told Tormund that it would take them a week to just get there.
Well, didn't we also go back to the thing where it said, basically Jon said, you'll get your ships back.
Yes.
So he hadn't left Castle Black yet.
That's what I thought too, but then that line from Davos was like, okay, what's he talking about?
Yep.
So he just hasn't left yet. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's a head scratcher for me as well, and I'm wondering if something got cut
Maybe a poor edit
I
job.
think it was a case of John went somewhere locally, and let's wait for him to get back, not wait for him to get back from moving all the free folk.
Fair enough.
But the leaving the castle, maybe he went to Molestown or something like that, but that got cut.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That was my take on it anyway.
Understood. And then we see
And,
Davos and Shireen.
Yeah, Sir Davos confesses to being scared. To which the adorable and extremely brave Princess Shireen promises to protect him.
Now, is he scared to be scared, or is he scared
That's
in
a
terms
ploy
of
for
it, to kind of surrender to Shireen a little bit?
No. I think, I don't know if it's Game of Thrones or if it's something else, but the only time one can be truly brave is when you're afraid.
That's true.
And I think this is look, let's face this, battle is not fun. It is not the most wonderful thing. It is scary. Who's going to live? Who's going to die? You're marching people to their death. Yes, you're scared. Not cowardly, but there's a uncertainty of the future kind of scared, I think.
I understand that. I'm just wondering if it's more aligned to kind of reinforce their bond than a legitimate confession.
I think the fear was real. I think the little exchange where he asks for her protection, I think that was a bonding moment.
Clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And very sweet.
Yeah. No, they're kind of a fun little interaction, those two.
Absolutely. Mireen B.
Mireen.
Back to
Grey Worm
Mireen.
lives! That's what I said when I watched it, because I missed the first part of the show.
Yeah. So now we are 40 to 45 minutes later, and Garrett finally finds out Grey Worm's alive.
Yes. So happy.
3 days he comes to. I get the feeling Missandei was probably sitting watch most of that time.
I would get the same feeling, yes.
Yeah. And Grey Worm confesses some feelings of failure here. Not to being defeated. I mean, obviously the odds were overwhelmingly against him. It's a miracle he is still alive. But recognizing that he is not the Vulcan that he thought he was.
This is not the Star
un-
Trek cast, okay?
Oh,
Get your shit right.
sorry, wrong podcast. I'm gonna switch over to Studio B. Yeah, he's not cold and unfeeling. He realizes in that moment that his true fear is not getting to see Missandei again.
Correct. And we've seen this building up for now a season plus, where last season when they were on the march, the women were bathing at the river and he was in the river and looked over. We saw Missandei.
Rather enjoyed that view.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do that again, that'd be great.
I was meaning him.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, we've seen definitely a curiosity and a soft bonding between the two that's only grown. Some people think it's pointless for the sake of the show. Yes, it's not a significant plot, but I think it adds some character to our characters.
Some people that really don't get all that much screen time, but yet don't get to show emotion. Here's their chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely plays into the emotion, although I would amend your comment that this is not a central plot yet.
Ooh. Little
I'm not
foreshadowing
giving
there,
anything away.
listeners.
I'm not saying that this will become a central plot, but throughout this whole thing, we have seen minor subplots become major things later. This is minor right now. Who knows where it's going to be in season 6 or 7?
Yes.
This interaction that we saw or this episode that seems insignificant and a waste of screen time may become a crucial piece of the plot later.
And with
Don't
that,
rule anything out. I mean, don't forget,
Yeah,
this is
this is Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Subtlety
This
is
show
key.
is produced with George's blessing and assistance. Nothing is in there except he gives blessing to.
they're not telling a different
important.
story. They are telling his story with some fun.
Yes,
With
So
still
with-
his
So-
blessing.
Yes.
it's important. If it's in there, it's important.
Yep. It didn't find its way on the editor floor, so keep that in mind. It's there for a reason, even if the reason is character development.
Sure.
So we follow Miss Sandy then to the Queen's chamber, and Danny is faced with some conflictions of her own. We saw it with John earlier, now we see it with Danny.
Yeah, what to do? Looking for a little bit of advice from an unusual source here. Actually asking Miss Sandy's thoughts on what's going on.
Yep. And they make an interesting point. Miss Sandy says, well, you gave the masters what they deserved. Daenerys points out that, well, if I did that to everybody, there'd be no one left to rule. So
And
she's
that's not
realizing
much of a
that,
queen.
she's realizing the Iron Fist is not necessarily the way to go here
The
anymore.
broad brushstroke is not painting too well.
Yeah. So we're now definitely down a former slave and absolutely down a crispy former master.
Yes.
And this is not working.
But what does the head, well, of the ancient family and counselor to Daenerys say?
Yeah, we're going to get to him.
Yes.
Zolarak.
So visit down to the prison cells. Does anybody remember this dude's name?
Yeah, it's Zolarak is the pseudo surname. Let me get Hizdar Zolarak.
There we go.
Yes.
So
I pulled it out. I didn't actually search that yet. I was in the process and it came to me. Yes, go me.
go you 2 points. So Danny realizes here, from what I took from this, not only can she not rule with an iron fist, but there has to be some give and take.
Yes, she has to
And
show
so
that.
she's agreeing to reopen the fighting pits, but only to free men. You're not going to fight your slaves.
Well, there is no slavery, only contracted employees.
Sure,
But yes,
she can believe that.
But yeah, she says that fighting pits will be reopened to free folk only.
So here's the twist in my mind. Very, very crucial development point here is she realizes that up until now, my take on this, she's realized that up until now, she has been an outsider, regardless of being called mother, regardless of being heralded as a liberator. She is still an outsider attempting to impose her rules on Miri.
Yes.
And light bulb goes off. She realizes if she ever wants to really, really reach these people, then she has to become one of them.
Yeah, although I find it interesting that it was outsider Iron Fist, outsider Iron Fist, outsider Iron Fist to respecting your traditions and marrying one of your leaders. Like full pendulum swing, like not even trying to bridge the gap a little bit. She just went from one to the complete opposite.
Well, when you
So,
realize that,
speculation here. Is this a rough sign of, bipolar or schizophrenia? or
wow,
Or is it truly a character strength that she once convinced that she is wrong, she is prepared to completely abandon the wrong
well,
and try something else?
Is that a strength or is that a weakness? I mean, in today's world, not Game of Thrones, but the world, if you do not operate with a strong conviction in your thoughts and your views, you are viewed societally weak. even if someone's wrong, if they're unwilling to waver from their thought process, we tend to give them some degree of respect unless they're batshit crazy. Here, she operated under one belief system, was pointed out that it wasn't working, and she made a complete and utter polar opposite flip.
Well, she did go to Masandi to get her advice, and it was obvious that she's looking for other opinions rather than being fed the same
Yes.
thing over and over
For
again.
the show's sake, they're going to portray it as a character strength. Look, I was wrong. We now have an idea of what may work. Let's try that.
And I would posit that the same is true in real life. For somebody to be able to admit they were wrong and reverse course against their now incorrect path, I would say is a strength.
It can be.
It takes a big character to admit that you were that wrong.
Sure. And I guess for clarification, I suppose maybe I was brushing with a broad brushstroke, but referring to people who are kind of wishy-washy versus people who have conviction in one way or the other.
Now, see, this is where I think it's different. I'm not talking about being wishy-washy
Yes.
where you change with every new opinion you come up with. No, she has compelling evidence. There is overwhelming logic and argument to the fact that her way was not working and here might be a better way. Okay.
We're in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong.
We are in agreement. So yes, and she points out to Hisdar that, well, it's a good thing that a potential suitor is already on his knees.
I thought it was interesting she left him hanging. A potential suitor. I'm not saying it's you, but hey, you're already in place here, so
you're on the list.
Yeah. How do you think Dario's going to feel about this?
Pissed. Sorry. Spoiler alert.
They haven't been building up tension between these two characters at all. Wink,
Right?
wink, oozing with sarcasm.
Yeah.
And now
Mormont's
Hisdar is
going
going to be maybe potentially giving orders or at least having Danny's ear. So that should be interesting.
We've got, I like that you pointed that out, Wade. We've got the build up to a nice four-way love quadrangle.
In the world of man, we call that an orgy. Sorry. That's not what you meant.
That's not an orgy.
No,
that's one woman,
no.
3 guys. That's a gangbang.
That's a gangbang. You're right.
Okay, but even so, we're not talking about a gangbang. We're talking about a love quadrangle.
We are now, apparently. Holy shit.
Yeah, we just went into gangbang territory. It's fine.
We're not talking about all 3 guys scoring here. We're talking about 3 guys that really love her, but she's only going to pick one.
Or is she?
Dun, dun, dun.
We could.
Switching gears.
So we touched base on this earlier about Tyrion and Jorah on Drogon flying overhead.
We finally get to see
Valyria.
The smoking sea.
Smoking, doom-inhabited rubble of Valyria. Once the greatest civilization of the world until they weren't.
Yeah, very anticlimactic description there. Until they just weren't.
But I liked how that was in unison with Tyrion and Jorah.
Obviously, they were quoting some poetry.
They must have been.
Yeah.
At least we have 2 bookworms in this place.
Yes.
Well, Jorah wasn't swooing Dany. He had to do something with his time.
Apparently that was in a brothel.
Polishing his sword, if you know what I mean.
Bow chicka wow wow.
So practicing. Let it go.
Yeah.
Honing his
Interesting
skills.
discovery in the ruins of Valyria.
Yeah, well, it's been hinted at this now for a couple episodes. Especially last episode where Stannis was talking to Shireen, that they send the stone men to the ruins of Valyria.
Now, see, I didn't hear that. I did catch that they send grayscale afflicted people away to live with the stone men, but I missed where he said that was.
No, yeah, he said Old Valyria or something like that. It definitely was expressed.
Okay, my mistake.
If you were on last week's Game of Thrones podcast, you would have known this.
I was on last week's Game of Thrones podcast, but that's okay.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't on the one before.
Oh, damn it. Hate it when he does that.
Wait, when you can't remember something? When
Yeah.
he corrects you?
Shut up.
Yeah, it doesn't feel so good. Anyway, so we get visited by the Stone Man.
Yes, and we learn just how infectious grayscale can be.
I got a couple things out of this one. First of all, let's start with some speculation. Any idea what grayscale is? I'm going with it's kind of a variant of leprosy.
Yeah, I think that's definitely portrayed in this.
Obviously, there are some differences. You know, leprosy makes your flesh rot and fall off versus going hard. But it seems like there's a lot of similarities with how feared it is, how contagious it is,
Yeah.
how virulent it is. I mean, it spreads like nuts.
It's kind of a hybrid of leprosy and rabies.
Sure,
Mixed
we
in
can
with
go with that.
dehydration.
Because
Yeah.
rabies makes you go feral. And
Yeah.
we heard Gilly talking about her sisters had it, and they didn't
Were
sound
animals.
human
They acted
at
like
the
animals.
end. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
think of that.
Like dehydration, like if you looked at a parched ground, how it's got all those cracks in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got
yeah.
that kind of vibe, yeah, but I don't think that's so much dehydration versus...
So obviously it's not, because when the stone man jumped in the water, he didn't come up like, hey, what's up?
I'm healed!
He's definitely not dehydrated then. So we're going to kind of cut this one a little short. I don't think there's a whole lot to say on this yet. More to come, I'm sure. But my other thing that I did want to point out about this. Did Jorah catch it from this altercation, or has he had this a while?
No, I think he caught it from this altercation.
Because
It's
remember, it spreads like crazy.
I understand that.
his...
But it just seemed, I mean, we're talking about what, the end of the same day.
So you're thinking the progression was a little too advanced for your liking?
A little too advanced for, 6 hours.
How far did we look with Shireen? I mean, it was her face, but they said that they did see it was halted, so...
Yeah, we don't know. Did that
Yes.
happen in 6 months or did that happen in 3 years? We don't know.
Right, exactly. But it just seems like, okay, if you were to extrapolate, on Jorah's forearm, I'm going to say, let's say that's about an inch by an inch patch.
Yep, that sounds about right.
If that happened, if it spread from, a pinprick of the guy touching you to a square inch in the course of we're sailing through Valeria and now it's the end of the same day, then that means you're going to turn into a stone man within a matter of days.
And wouldn't Tyrion have it as well? Because Jorah would have to carry...
I don't think you're that infectious. I don't think they're portraying you as that infectious right off the bat.
I think you have to touch the actual area.
And
Yeah, otherwise
Jorah did have
Tyrion
it
would have it.
I think if you look at the size on Jorah's forearm, it's about, if you were to take your thumb and press it against your forearm, that is about the size of his mark. So I'm thinking that was a full contact spot there, and that's what was left over from a thumbprint or something like that.
I think
maybe.
Tyrion would have had it on his ankle,
Assuming he
lower
touched
shin as
skin,
well. That's what I'm saying. And if it was...
or was water a preventative measure?
So now we're going to have to wait and find out, are they both just lying to each other? Does Tyrion have it on his foot?
Bum, bum, bum.
And
Well-
I think that's a good place to leave it.
That is. So with the business, we do appreciate you guys listening in. Do check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We're always active there.
Definitely.
And on
Twitter,
YouTube.
At Abundance Naught.
Yes, Twitter at Abundance Not, Facebook.com/abundance.not. And we are on YouTube. I believe it's just Abundance Naught. So check us out. We do video portions of the podcast for ease of listening as well, along with other sorts of fun content. So
Absolutely.
check us out, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Keep watching.
Absolutely. Valor Morgulis.
Vala Dohitis.